And there we go. How we getting on, lads?
Well,
Hey,
Well, I tell you now, everyone who's watching, this took a while to get going. The first time Thomas had no incident, but we've made it this far now, so we'll give it a good old whack today. So today we're joined by Philip. Is it Alcazar?
yes, that's correct.
Amazing second name.
Hi,
How
hi
about
there.
you introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah. So I'm Philip Alcazar. Yeah, I work as an executive producer here at Terra Mater. Terra Mater is a film production company that focuses mostly on wildlife documentaries, but but more than that, not only documentaries and long form documentaries on wildlife topics, but also we've spread out much more into areas like conservation, nature, environmental topics, but even science. So yeah, and I'm here in charge of our YouTube channel. We have an upload every Friday about not only the wildlife, these wildlife videos that we upload there and show in order to showcase beautiful wildlife footage, but also like raise awareness about conservation topics and environmental topics. So yeah, so it's like a little bit of both, and with a little bit of deeper focus into conservation topics there, right? Yeah.
So we've obviously covered conservation and all kinds of eco-friendly stuff before, but
Mhm.
I found your channel from a rewilding video you guys did, and it just kind of caught my eye, and I was like, these guys are doing pretty well. Maybe I'll just ask them to get on and see what we do. And here we are today. So and I've
Yeah,
watched
yeah.
since. It's been maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks since then, even longer even. And I just keep seeing like these new videos come out, and these are just nailing it. Like you guys had a story fairly recently
Cool.
about in Uganda these rhinos getting kicked out of their habitat because of some legal dispute, and
Mm.
even the footage of what was done to them from the poachers, it was awful. But like it's a serious reality that we don't see. Like it's just crazy what you guys are up to, and
Yeah.
I kind of makes me lose a bit of faith in humanity. But the fact you're covering it makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah, well, I'm struggling with that as well, with the kind of doomsday issues or losing faith in humanity. But we try to, here at Terra, we try to keep the good faith and good faith. And I mean, on the one hand, you see so many bad things happening around the globe. It's not only the climate issue; it's really uh, all the like poaching and habitat loss, habitat fragmentation, all these things. And I have to deal with these topics every single day. But then on the other hand, you get to know and you get in touch with people that are so amazing and really behind conservation and safeguarding the environment. And these are the people that give you hope and that give you perspective and the feeling that okay, there's still a lot of good people out there as well, right?
Mm. Yeah,
um
it's a good thing to see.
yeah. And also like yeah, I mean, same with the Uganda, with the Uganda story you just mentioned, right? This is just a crazy story. It's these rhinos that were in a really good place and safeguarded and kept safe by these rangers and by the staff taking care of them. And then just some at some point some this dude comes in and just wants to get hold of his land and make money out of it, probably, right? And within these craziness, and everybody knows what's going on, but nobody can do anything about it, and they just get kicked out of it. And the rhinos are still there, because of so the sanctuary is still there, which is good. But on the other hand, the staff is lacking, and the staff with the know-how and the NGO that was taking care of them are not there anymore. And we have to see what's going to happen next. But yeah, but then I'm on the other hand, I'm still in touch with this NGO, and they have a good spirit. They really try to raise money now and try to open a new sanctuary. Maybe we bring the rhinos there, which is really complicated because it's really expensive to relocate rhinos. But it's incredible. They keep the good. I mean, it's incredible when you talk to these people. They just never stop. They don't never give up, which is really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to be out there doing it. But you
Mm-hmm.
know, for a lot of like, I'd say Europe, especially not so much the States. We don't really think of the wild. We kind of think of it as being far away. But over there, like, it's in your face. There's fucking elephants walking around, like
Yeah.
like the reason the rewilding episode you guys did intrigued me so much. It was just over here, like we got nothing. I told you before we started, I didn't see I never seen a squirrel until quarantine. I've never seen a deer in the woods, and I've been in the woods the last 7 years. And it's just like we're kind of barren of wildlife over here, so we don't really think about it. And the whole rewilding idea just kind of gets me a little bit excited for hoping it actually happens.
Yeah, and it's crazy because we also thought like, okay, when we worked on the story and on the storyline as well, we thought about the points and the issues that people might have with it, like with Rewild, that maybe it sounds kind of, I don't know, maybe naive to think about to have these kind of thoughts or issues or projects. And maybe people would think like, okay, we need farmland because we need to feed ourselves, and it's a huge. There's obviously the industry behind it, and it's money behind it, and people working in the workforce of farming. But then we looked at the numbers, and they just didn't they didn't add up, right? You had like within the UK in this case, you had like how much was it? I don't know, 80% of the UK being farmland, and only not even, I think it's 1% of the entire GDP and the for workforce and workforce involved in a country is in this sector, is working in the sector. And it's not, it's just a waste of land. You just don't need so much farmland in order to feed the people. It's just not correct. You can, and there's really perfect ways of rewilding an area and having wildlife thrive again, and still be able to not lose jobs at all, not lose like a farming output at all. And I mean farming output, then the other issues that we all maybe have heard of probably is us just wasting. We should the first thing we should do is not worry about losing efficiency in farming. Is the first thing we should think about is maybe not wasting so much food when we buy it after buying it in the grocery stores, right? So this was incredible when we looked into this, and I thought like, okay, I mean this debunks every kind of criticism on rewilding it, because it's just there's just no negative consequences of doing that.
Yeah,
No,
it's
yeah,
it's it's such a weird topic, but if you want to introduce deer to an area, you're not really going to get a lot of complaints. But it's the point like where they're dealing with in Scotland at the moment is if you introduce wolves, now what?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a controversial issue, and especially in Europe, right? We are, I don't know, we have it in our DNA somehow written after hundreds of years of being afraid of wolves. That this is really controversial. People are really afraid of them, even though I mean, I'm not a biologist, but I like everybody who you talk to has just a little bit of deeper knowledge into wolves and wolf behavior, will tell you immediately that there's no threat at all to humans coming from wolves. And yeah, I mean the issue that we pointed out in our Rewild UK video was more in Scotland, was more the issue with the right to roam, right? And
mm.
and which is, this makes sense, right? Because farmers having sheep and all, they this is obviously wolves are a threat to sheep. That's clear, right? So then they have to fence in their sheep, and then on the other hand, you have this kind of consequences, this line of consequences that make people then in the end have the feeling, okay, they should not have wolves again because they want to have the right to roam, even though there is still ways to go ahead with both and have wolves on the one hand, and still farmers having their sheep fenced in, and still people being able to roam across the countryside as far as much as they want. I don't see a complication there. And as far as being afraid, I'm in the woods. I mean, I'm here in Austria, and I live in Austria, and I go to the woods a lot as well. But we don't have any wolves here, only to very very small pockets in southern Austria. And but even though we would have more, I'm quite sure I wouldn't be afraid of them. Yeah.
Yeah. I suppose in a way they're just kind of like you know bigger dogs, but not as friendly. I wouldn't pet one in fairness. But what part of Austria in?
In Vienna.
I got to go for archery at one point. I'm trying to remember where I went.
Oh, really?
It's a beautiful place, dude. Like hiking up the mountains of Austria is so cool. It was
Yeah,
so
it is.
amazing. I
Yeah, it is.
the name just
We're
passes now.
yeah, yeah. I can be grateful to live here. It's. I mean, Austrian countryside is just gorgeous, spectacular. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's just the case with a lot of mainland Europe. Like I've got to do archery in Greece, Hungary, Austria, Germany, and these places like the
Mm.
woods out there are beautiful. And then like
Mm.
over here, I don't know, dude. You're finding beer bottles and stuff. It's terrible. It's terrible the way they have it over here.
Really, we would have to look into it a little bit more because I wouldn't. I don't know. Um, because I'm not so sure about generalizing that. I don't think that there might be places in Ireland without any beer bottles around lying around probably.
I mean, I've
But
done a lot of
You'd
archery here.
be fairly lucky to find somewhere without a beer bottle in it. A beer bottle and a packet of Johnnies, to be honest, is probably in most woods
okay,
over here.
Yeah, dude. No,
okay.
seriously, it
Ridiculous.
is pretty bad here. Like,
Mm.
yeah,
And
even
it yeah it's difficult because I mean even though even in Europe and within Europe you have many regional differences true and some in some regions the awareness about littering and saving or not littering and saving the environment or protecting the environment the awareness in some places is higher in other places it's lower you can but it also there's a lot of politics involved many times, right? Um, when it comes to bigger things, bigger issues, as I mentioned before we started recording this call, the things happening in Romania, right? I mean, this is the very last primary forest that we have in Europe. Everything else, even though it looks beautiful, this is another point, right? I mean, even though it really looks beautiful in the woods and mountains that you see in Austria, for example, it's all forested, it's all managed forest, it's nothing of this, nothing is primary there, right? It's all managed forest. It's beautiful though, you have a lot of game still, you have a lot of deer. I mean, it makes me sad to just say that you've never seen deer in the woods because I see it so many times.
I'm sorry for that now.
I've
but
seen them at
in
Tito
but
Park.
it
Pretty cool.
but in the end, but people people don't understand even like what's going on there. This is all managed and hunted woods and wildlife, and the really last vast area where you still have primary forests is in Romania. But even there, and this is a lot of politics and corruption involved as well, right? In theory, it's protected, but it's in practical sense, it's just not, and they just chop it down at a very fast pace, and it just ends up in our furniture, and nobody knows about it, which is the craziest part. Like all like most of IKEA furniture is just made with woods from coming from there. So this is a big issue, and it's crazy. And I think I don't know about you guys. How do you feel? But do you think that awareness is changing, and do you still have hope for people to changing their mindsets? Well, what do you think, guys?
Well, everyone's aware of issues in the world, but what are you gonna do about it? Like
Yeah,
I know there's some dodgy stuff going on in Palestine at the moment. What can I do about it? I know about in Uganda they kicked out the rhinos. What do I do about it? Like realistically,
yeah,
all I can do is pick up trash in my local area, and
which is good.
vote for places that would encourage rewilding or whatever I see is like fitting of
But
the
it's the
wild over
best
here.
part. I mean, yeah, but that's the most important part, right? Doing your stuff locally. I don't know, and it can change a lot. Even you yourself not littering or picking up stuff is the first part, and then it can end up with people like the guys like this NGO in Uganda trying to protect the very last rhinos because these are only we're talking about 14 no sorry 33 rhinos in a country that was full with them before and then after the war they lost most of them, and these are the 33 last rhinos left. And then you still have these people who are really proactive in protecting them locally, they obviously need fundings that come from that. That's what people can do if they want to protect specific or support specific cases. They can do that, supporting them with donations. But then on the other hand, with what I wanted to say is about these local peoples. Like, have you heard about this Indian guy? I forgot his name. I would have to look it up. Who started like who he was living close to close to a totally littered beach, like totally littered. It was just a beach. It was just, when you see the pictures from the beginning, it was just a sea of plastics. And then he started off, it was just a young boy, I don't know, maybe 16, 17 years old. And he started off picking all the plastic and bringing it and bringing it into the trash, and picking up, and he started slowly, like every day, picking up some trash from there, thinking probably this is never gonna end. I need to live like 15 lives in order to pick up all this trash. And then people just saw him and started helping him and helping out, and there was like hundreds of people doing that with him, and now the beach is clean. There's no more bottle around, right? So this is it happens. Things like that can happen, and this is so you can do this, you can do something about it. You just have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. But it gets worrying when it comes to plastics in water, like you were saying. Like we talked to Captain Paul Watson from Sea Shepherd, and
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's a cool character. But you're saying
you
about
know
like,
that we produced a documentary on him
Did you actually?
called Watson. Yeah,
I
I didn't
actually
work on
know.
the project, unfortunately, so but I wasn't involved. But Terra Mater has a documentary, a feature documentary called Watson, and it's out there. Yeah.
Wow, I
In,
didn't
in
know that.
in fairness to him, I like talking to him. I think he's a pretty okay dude. But we got a bit of shit for having him on because I don't know, something he did in Alaska like 20 years ago. So it was a
Yeah.
bit of a weird reaction after. I
Oh
think
wow.
he's doing good work
He's
stopping pirates. Like,
he
Is
is
it really?
reckless, right? I mean,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
I said like it's good what he's doing with like in terms of like stopping like illegal fishing along the African coasts. But
It depends on it. He because right he was I'm not so maybe I'm in the fields of not of semi knowledge here because I wasn't involved in the project, but wasn't he like involved or co-founder of Greenpeace? But then Greenpeace was not he was just not radical enough and not proactive enough. And then he because he doesn't believe in slogans, he just believes in actions, right? And in pretty reckless actions, that's true. But then I mean he is kind of hands-on, and kind of radical, you could say. Yes. So but what was the backfire you got? Like what kind of comments did you get?
apparently in like okay, so whale fishing is or whale hunting is basically illegal everywhere.
Mm,
But there's like indigenous people in Alaska that are allowed to do it because it would be pretty
yeah.
fucked up if you take that away from them. Like thousands of years of them doing it, you take it away just because companies fucked it up. And that he basically, I don't know, like he slandered people doing it over there. He condemned it. He it was something about like a kid, wasn't like a minor. He like named and shamed like a minor or something back in the day.
Oh really?
So
Okay.
people were pretty annoyed about that. Um, and I think he said something that wasn't entirely true when he was on. It was about like their status as pirates in the United States. Like the
Yeah.
Ninth District Court considers them to be pirates, which was a bit weird. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, but besides that, like dude, he's going out there stopping illegal fishing, and like that's a pretty serious deal, especially when it comes to like all these nets getting stuck in the water, and the nets are a perfect framework for the likes of like Trash Island to form. You know, so I think he's
Mm.
all right, but
Mm.
no one's perfect. What was it?
But even
Regards to
that, yeah, definitely. But even with that, like with plastic pollution in the seas, I would have to hit this name up as well. But maybe what's this kid's name that started off a company with like trying to clean up the ocean cleanup. What's it called?
It's not Greta
We'll have to.
Thunberg, is it? No, I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
I'm not familiar.
No,
But
we learned about Watson though.
He invented this machine of cleaning up the oceans when he was like 17 years old or something like that.
was he Australian? Was he?
No, I think he's Boyan Slat. He's from the Netherlands. Yeah,
Fair.
he's an inspiring dude. Wow, he's really cool. So Boyan Slat was his name. You can you just look him up. Maybe you can invite him for a conversation on your podcast as well at some point. He's really inspiring. And this machine, he invented it when it was like he was like 17 years old, and then he got it funded, and now it's out there. It's just in the works. Yeah, trying to clean. I mean, obviously the amount of pollution out there must be so vast. This is, I don't know, just too big to tackle. But yeah, they're working on it.
It is a weird one. Now, the biggest thing that stuck out to me when we had Paul on was he thinks that we need to step out of the ocean for up to 20 years. Like it's like don't touch the ocean at all for 20 years for it to recover
Okay.
from where it is now.
Okay.
I mean, like in a way, sure, but as well as that, like that's pretty out there. Like, oh yeah, if we don't touch the wild in if we all live in cities and never touch the wild, the rest of the world for 20 years, the woods will recover. Like, yeah, but it's not exactly a good thing, is it?
Yeah, I mean, good question. I mean, we're taking a care of making this planet in some way uninhabitable in
Yeah.
the end. Yeah, it's difficult. It's difficult. I would not go as far as that. It's especially with we're like we're coming back to the video that we mentioned first, the Rewild UK one. It's not about the whole thing is not about leaving the wilderness alone and not touching it at all anymore and just try to feed off air or whatever. That's not what it is about, right?
Yeah.
It all works. And I mean, the solutions, this is the craziness about this. Even with the climate issues, the craziness about it is that all these solutions, they're out there. I mean, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's out there. We can just implement them, and we can like use them, and it works, and we can find ways, and all the solutions out there. We have to stop being as lazy as we are as a human race,
Yeah.
right?
When you mentioned earlier about like us like changing, I think a lot of the mindsets of maybe some older people is, I'm not going to be here for that long. Fuck it, I'll throw my gum on the floor, or I'll put this plastic in that bin. Or
Yeah.
it's that, and that's still a lot of mentality of a lot of people, which really, you
it's
push that on to others, and then like
it's
everyone's doing it.
crazy because all these people, like at least most of them, they have kids and grandchildren and whatnot, right? I mean, don't they care about their own kids? It's weird. It's really weird. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're, but a lot of these, and it's not only the personal thing. Like, there's a lot of these questions are also like in a sphere, a bigger sphere, and a political sphere as well, right? And where you can change it in such an immediate course, or at least we're in a fortunate position in Europe that we can at least choose our government and vote. At least we can do that. In other regions, they can't even do that. But this is also, but nevertheless, even within the political realms, like there's so much self-censoredness. Can you see that? Is that a word? I don't know. And people
I get what you mean. Yeah.
yeah, and very short-term goals, obviously, because they need the votes and they have to be populistic about them, and they have to like it's just short-term goals of votes and power and political power. And then on the lower end, everybody and every individual also has this kind of thing, like thinking about themselves first, and then then about the others, if even, right? What I wanted to say about this political space is that I said at the beginning, yes, everybody can do his part and do his changes, and like for example, start with picking up some litter in the woods, yes. But then on the other hand, what I don't like too much is when it gets too when it gets too far away, too far off. Like everybody has his own choice of buying an SUV or not, or eating meat every day or not, flying across the world or not. And then it just gets, all these environmental issues are not being tackled by the ones who should do that, should tackle them, that are our politicians and our governments and our authorities. They all, like, it's always about like us as individuals to make some changes, which is okay on the one hand, that yes, we can do some changes and we can start some initiatives, but we can't handle it all ourselves, right? Yeah.
You're
I
what's that thing you say, Jared, about bugs?
oh yeah. Okay, so you know what a bog is?
The bug.
You know what a bog is? BOG.
No.
Okay, you know turf, like peat bogs, no?
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay,
So it's like carbon-rich mud that we have
yeah,
harvested in Ireland for
sure,
cutting into slabs so you can burn. So it's like a precursor to coal. Like once that shit gets down deep
yeah,
and long enough, it becomes
yeah,
coal. So
got it.
we we have that in Ireland, and for thousands of years, Irish people harvested it, thousands and thousands, because there's not much else to burn around the Midlands. So they dug this up for ages, and realistically, they didn't do much. Over hundreds, thousands of years, they didn't get rid of much of it. But when companies got into it for the guts of 50 years, it's gotten to a point that it's so bad that the European Union won't let people harvest it in Ireland anymore, or anywhere, but it affects Ireland mainly. So it just kind of annoys me that like this thing people were able to do for so long gets taken away because someone
Yeah,
got greedy. And yeah, it just kind of it annoys me because it affects poor people, because anyone could go out and you know get some turf and it'd be nice and cheap, and your heating is done for the winter. But
yeah.
yeah, the fact that it's taken away, it just affects poor people, and now it's gonna be a cold winter.
It is. I agree. I agree. I mean, this is an issue. I don't know if you've seen it. We have a video on. It was one of the very first videos that I did for the Terra Mater channel, about seal hunting in the Arctic region, mostly in Greenland, and this is the same thing. I mean, Inuit people living there, that's like sealed for through generations and generations. They live of it. There's nothing growing there, right? So they have to live of it. This is their main nutrition, is seals and seal meat, or was for many generations, through many generations. And then there are two things happen, right? First of all, like Western colonization, Denmark colonizing Greenland, and also like other influences, American influence, and whatnot, like Western influences into the lifestyles. They started changing their lifestyles. They now have, you could, so quote unquote Western lifestyles there, going to the supermarkets and buying like all sorts of imported stuff, and this is going down and down and down. On the other hand, you have sealing going on, or you had sealing going on by bigger companies, right? The second thing, like that, then you have like fisheries and bigger fishing boats and sealings, and we've all seen these videos with people clubbing these seals, and really brutal videos. And then what happens? The EU bans sealing for everything, because obviously they don't want to have seal fur being sold in the EU, which makes sense, right? But on the other hand, they see all these videos and Brigitte Bardot and petting some seal pups there, and then what happens is like it's banned, like 100% banned in the whole, so you just change the whole lifestyle. These people don't know where to get their income from. They can't sell seals anymore, but also they are supposed to have Western lifestyles, right? So they can't go back to their more traditional lifestyles and seal for themselves and live off that have like this kind of subsidized lifestyles, where they don't depend on Europe or Northern America or whatnot. That they just have their lives and be able to seal whatever they want on a local scale, where nothing would happen. I mean, there's more than enough seals for local Inuit people to hunt them. The only problem is when big companies get in and just overfish or overhunt local wildlife, right? And the solution to that is just the worst outcome of all of it, right? You have just poor Inuit people with no ways of incomes at all, and yeah, that's it, right? And I totally agree with that.
Yeah, it is that thing of, it sounds fine to say, it sounds like nice and green to say, yeah, we can't go and harvest turf anymore. We can't hunt whales anymore. We can't hunt seals anymore.
Yeah.
But then, like, overall, like, how does that affect people and cultures? Yeah,
It's true.
it's a
It's
slippery
true, and
slope.
it's a slippery slope, and also it's what you say. It's the easy way, because it's the nice tagline, the nice headlines for the news is, and done and dusted by the EU as well, or whatever kind of authority is saying, sealing is banned, right? We're the green guys, we're the good ones here, and done and dusted, right? And it's just much more complicated, and there's much more nuances to that, and obviously there are a lot of people taking a look into the nuances, but what ends up is, and what's important for even politicians, just to have these nice headlines, right? Yeah, we've banned seal hunts and seal fur trade, done. And the same with probably with turf. I don't know about too much about this issue, but it sounds pretty familiar. It sounds pretty similar to that. Yeah.
No, you're right. It does sound good. Politicians, like you said, to get the vote. Fuck yeah, I didn't even realize that. Yeah, shit, you're right.
I don't know. I don't like the way a lot
Yeah.
of stuff's handled by the Irish government and stuff like that. So, like, the turf being taken away just affects poor people. When they make cigarettes more expensive, it affects more poor people. Yeah, they make drink more expensive, affects poor people. And then what's that thing? The sugar tax. They made like
Sugar
sugary
tax.
food, like.
And I don't know if you
Yeah.
heard about this
Yeah.
one recently, but
And guess
they were
who that
gonna
affects? Poor people.
tax people for having more children.
Really?
They were gonna so there's like a child income here. I don't know if they have one like over in Austria, but they were basically gonna reduce that to, it was like, make it less appealing for richer families to have more kids, something like
Oh,
that.
really?
So, but that would apply to all people, rich or poor, if you had kids.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Like with
they
the
just
sugar,
don't like poor people here, man. They're dicks.
it's weird. Like with
The
the sugar
government
tax,
fucking
it sounds fine. Like, okay, we're helping public health, but they're making money off it. You go in the box. Oh, we're being green. It affects poor people. It's just the company went in there and messed it up. Oh, it's a pain in the ass. But no, dude, let's don't get me started.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
But yeah, it's a rough one. I like your point of when it came to Greenland, that like they're trying to, like, in a way, westernize it and take away like what, like, might not be trying to do it, but what they end up doing is just taking away from the people there, and as a result, they're poorer. Just
Yeah.
less than ideal.
It's just an idea. It was like this old mindset of like bringing like civilization to the world, and this kind of crazy European mindset that we had throughout generations. And now, and then you see all these consequences happening around it. Like even if you would say no, these intentions, they were not, so they didn't enslave them, and they were not, no bad intentions in Greenland. I don't know. The outcome is really bad, right? And people, the Western lifestyle just doesn't work there, especially if you live somewhere really far off the grid, and where nothing grows, and you don't have any other resources than the sea. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah, and then it's what happens, right? It's like we try to, it's also like all with kind of initiatives in order to help poorer regions, even also even with initiatives of trying to protect the environment somewhere. We have to get away from this feeling of like, okay, we have to go somewhere and protect the environment there as Europeans or Americans, whoever, and then and like have our initiatives being done, like set up our initiatives there, and it's gonna work all out fine, and we know what we do. It just doesn't work like that. Like especially what happened here in Uganda is, I think the thing is, it just works if you involve all the people that live there and are involved, and they benefit from it, and they understand, and they can live their kind of a lifestyle in a way where they don't have to worry about like how to feed themselves, right? And be able to live with their environment without any interference or too much interference as far as they want to, obviously, right? And this is happening throughout the globe, and as many instances when we look at issues for our channel and for environmental channels and stories that we talk about and want to make videos on. It happens. This is a pattern that just repeats itself so many times. Right now, I'm working on a story in the Okavango region. I don't know if you heard about it. The Okavango region is one of the most biodiverse region in the world. It's in northern Namibia and northern Botswana, and part of it also in northern Namibia. And it's incredible. Like the largest savanna elephant population lives there and roams there, and they're so full of biodiversity, so full of wildlife, and just recently they found oil there, or they're looking for oil there. There's Recon Africa, which is an crazy naming for a Canadian company, because it's Canadian oil company, and they're looking for oil in the region. They have test wells already set up, and it's a region which is really remote as well. And there's only a few people, local San, that's what their name is, people living there, and basically, yes, they are poor, and then they come in, but then this Canadian company comes in and saying, yeah, we're looking for oil, we're gonna drill, but yeah, we're gonna involve the local San people as well, and it's gonna bring money and jobs and whatnot, and it's all fucking. Oh, I'm allowed to swear here, right?
Yeah, you can
It's
swear.
all fucking bullshit. It's bullshit. Namibia, for example, has a deal for these oil drilling licenses where they only keep 10% of every income they make. So 90% goes to this company. And then they set up their first oil well, test well in next to Rundo, in this little town in northern Namibia. And the local San people, they were interviewed after that, and they were asked, like, okay, it's set up here. How much did you know about this beforehand? And they were saying it was just overnight. They woke up to more or less woke up to an oil drill that was set up. They had no idea that this is happening. And obviously there's no involvement whatsoever going on. The only thing that actually happened is that they were allowed to farm some food for the oil workers, which is bullshit, obviously. So no, this is the thing. It's our mindset of exploiting resources throughout the world and trying to bring money and so-called money and civilization, and it's just, oh, in the end, it's colonialism with a new facade, right?
Yeah.
That's what happens there. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as calling it colonialism, but I would say it's almost like it's alien. Like
Mm.
it kind of reminds me of that movie. You remember that movie back in the day, Avatar?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And the humans show up and they start digging up this weird metal. It's the
Yeah.
same, and the natives are like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Yeah.
It's almost the same as that. That like the natives are just chilling out at their home, and suddenly, this
Yeah.
big drill has been set up. Like it's really weird. I
It
wonder how
is
that
weird.
works legally. Like how did they get permission to go in there? Like how corrupt was it for them to get in there? Like
I mean, you can't tell. Namibia is one of the least corrupt countries in Southern Africa. Nevertheless, it's still obviously, they must. I mean, they got the license to drill there, and I mean, and the whole area is really, really, really rich in wildlife. Especially the Okavango Delta, which is a little bit more downstream, and you ask yourself, right? Like, how did they get the permission? And it's just this intransparent deal that they got, and they have the permission now. They have the license to look for oil there. Then there's other, even I read this in a Geo article today, that apparently this is a whole kind of scheme as well, like like a scheme for the investors, because they didn't really find the oil in the end, or they're not so sure about this, but they wanted to push up their own share value of their own company, which is, I don't know, it's just
Dude,
yeah, it's craziness, right?
that sounds
It's ridiculous.
that's
Jesus
so
Christ.
bad. The fact that they
Crazy.
can actually make money off doing that, it just we live in a simulation. We live in just this crazy world. That's that's
Mm.
insane.
And
Um,
I don't know what to idealize. If you like you mentioned this kind of avatar storyline, right? I mean, I don't want to really idealize this kind of sense that like people live there in total harmony with nature, whatnot. Now, people probably want even like are looking for changes or more or whatever. They're even local people as well, for sure. But they're for sure not looking for an oil company coming in, setting up an oil drill, saying, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of money with this, and they just keep 90%, then they're off with their oil, and the whole environment is fucked up, right? This is for sure not what they want. Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, bit concerning if they did. Yeah, like Thomas,
Mm.
that's so weird. Like imagine like just woods that's nearby to us, say Rahan Woods. Imagine they just dump a drill in there and just go 90. Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know how we got here, but
Oh, I don't know.
it's an interesting old topic. Um, Philip, or is it Philip or Philippe?
Philip. Yeah.
Philip, does it? How do you feel about the whole movement going towards de-extinction in these in some environments such as Siberia? Like like they
Mm.
want to bring back like the mammoth because permafrost
Yeah.
isn't being compressed by anything, stuff like that.
Yeah. It's yeah. I'm not extremely well knowledgeable about this topic. Just if you ask about my general mindset on that is we have to be fucking careful what we do. We it's putting this whole topic of having or bringing back large herbivores to certain areas sounds cool, sounds maybe feasible, but in many cases, you just make more harm than you do good. I don't know about Siberia specifically. I've just heard some, and I read some articles and probably and saw some videos on that. Probably we both have seen the same videos or read the very similar articles. Um, so but the only thing is that as a general thing, it's like really really we have to be careful what we do and how we treat our environment in the sense of having these really courageous or even out of this world mindsets of how we can change it or make it even better, and placing large animals, herbivores in a region that has this kind of ecosystem in place already can do a lot of harm as well, right? I don't know about Siberia specifically. Obviously, the whole Russian Far East was extremely depleted in nature throughout centuries as well. Nevertheless, yeah, I would say whatever we do, we should be really careful about what we do. Yeah, there's, for example, we made a video on hippos in Colombia. I don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah, I
And
watched
these
that one.
hippos
Yeah.
were and these hippos were not brought in by conservationists trying to bring in large herbivores back into into a region. No, it was Pablo Escobar just having fun with hippos there, and showing off to his buddies. And now they're still there. But there's the craziness about this is there are certain environmentalists and certain theories that they should be left there in order to like re-enable kind of old ecosystems that got lost because of because of losing herbivores within this kind of ecosystem or pyramid there. And but many other voices say, and I think they're correct, it's crazy to just leave them there because you can do so much harm and so much can get lost with that. And obviously this is very different because in you have really rich rich wildlife and ecosystem in Colombia, and I don't know, it's maybe not comparable at all to Siberia. But yeah. But what do you think about it, or what have you read about it?
Um, we did an episode back maybe like a year ago about Pablo Escobar. We like covered the whole thing with the hippos. Man, that whole
Okay.
thing's insane. Like the fact that he brought them all back and basically like saved their species in Colombia is crazy.
Yeah.
They're not native there, are they? No.
No,
No, not at all. They're
Yeah.
native in Africa, and he just brought them over
Yeah.
to show off to his buddies. Yeah.
No, I got confused. You said that like they were.
no, that's repopulated.
Yeah.
But like the guy's insane, and I guess they're pretty dangerous. Maybe I mean,
Yeah.
having
Also,
them out
they're
there
just
is pretty-
humans,
Yeah,
guys. I have some battery issues now
Cool.
on my cell phone and my AirPods.
Okay.
But I will disconnect my AirPods and get a cable for my cell phone. I'll be back in like 2 minutes. All right.
We'll pause and be back in a second. So.
Yeah, back in a sec. Okay.
Boom, we're back. Okay, so we were just talking about Siberia, hippos, and the whole shebang.
Yes. So, what, like, is there anything in particular about Siberia that you had in mind, or you wanted to talk about, or just generally what I think about it?
Well, I mean, just with regards to like the extinction, or even just take away Siberia, the extinction as a whole, because you know makes you wonder if we've killed all these things, do we kind of owe it to bring them back? What do we do? Because you know, there's like evidence that supports that whenever humans were introduced to an area, the megafauna population just dropped like a stone, and yeah, we did some dodgy stuff. Now I don't know what they attribute that to, but I remember something roughly like it didn't really happen in Africa because everything in Africa had evolved with us for like thousands and millions of years. But when we got to like, yeah, like when we got to like, I don't know, when we got to like Asia, they didn't have a clue what we were. When we got to Australia, they didn't know what we were, so they weren't instinctively like scared or anything. So yeah.
Which brings me back to the point as well. Like we shouldn't idealize or over-stylize people living somewhere locally and living in more or less intact entangled with nature. They do that for sure to a certain extent, much more than we do in our European cities. But we're all humans, and humans, I mean, we're a crazy kind of species, right? And even the thing with Australia, right? I don't know about the exact time frame, but when humans arrived in Australia, we just started killing all these megafauna off because it was easy hunt and easy meat, right? And then we set up our own lifestyle there, which evolved obviously. And then the even crazier thing happened later on, which is Europeans coming in, right? And setting up huge fences in order to get rid, like in order to fence in the dingoes that we brought. So it's crazy. We're just a crazy species, and wherever we go, we just tend to fuck things up. Yeah.
That's how it goes.
This is why this brings this whole philosophical question of pioneering and what the sense behind it, and going to the moon and the Mars and whatever, and yes, it's fantastic and it's spectacular, and I love it, and I love science behind it, and the spirit of pioneering behind it. Yes, I do. There's this other thing in me which says we should actually leave Mars and every other planet in this universe alone.
Well, meh. I kind of disagree on that one. Like,
okay,
we're one asteroid away from death. We're like one Yellowstone away from almost like a nuclear winter. we're at a push of a button away from nuclear winter. You don't want all the eggs in the same basket. Like, ideally, we'd be spread around, so like if anything ever happens, we're not gone.
Maybe, but on the other hand, I mean, this is the best planet to live on that we know of, for sure, by far, which is the planet Earth. And so our main intention should be try to like make it like keep it livable as far as possible, because whatever happens to planet Earth, it's probably still it will probably still be better than living on Mars.
Yeah, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson who said it. Like, if you want to live on Mars, try living at the top of Mount Everest.
Yeah.
For like a year, whatever amount of time he said, because that's paradise in comparison to Mars.
So,
yeah.
No, it's not, but it's not my main opinion. That's what I said. It's like I'm bipolar with this kind of opinion, in the sense that I obviously am amazed by what we achieve, like seeing a rover like running around with its own drone, driving around on Mars. This is incredible, obviously, right? This is insane, actually. Yeah. So, which also brings us to the next part. Is like, I mean, which is crazy. I mean, we have so much knowledge, and we're like, we prove that we can achieve incredible stuff, and then on the smallest scale, we can't even manage to tell even manage to not throw beer bottles in the woods.
Yeah.
Like,
in fairness, we're seriously divided as well. Like, if aliens showed up tomorrow and they say, "Take me to your leader," where would they go?
Yeah. True.
Me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Like, we've no like.
Yeah, you're right though. Yeah, there's
unified
no actual,
authority or anything.
No, there's not.
Yeah, like some places can't even. Yeah, some places can't even agree that human rights exist. So, there's that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a weird old spot.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So the extinction has really this incredible facets of not only bringing, like, for example, have you heard about the vaquita story, the vaquita marina in the Gulf of Sea of Cortez in Baja California, which is a small little whale, a small little porpoise, and there's only, which is really, really, really on the brink of extinction. And by really, I mean there's a guess. The latest guess is like there's 12 individual left on planet Earth. So the story is basically over. This species is about to go extinct. And it's really, really small and shy animal, and it got the population numbers just plummeted just because of overfishing the area, and people not really specifically looking for this purpose for vaquitas, but looking for other fish and their bladder in order to sell it across the world, specifically China. But I don't want to play the blame game here. What I wanted to point out is which is crazy, is that they came to a point where they say, okay, in order to save the species, the only tool left that we have is get as much as genetical material as possible that we have of the species, and then freeze it, and at some point just bring it back into the wild, getting like this kind of frozen zoo, and have all these species, like all the rest of genetical material that we have, just freeze it and then bring it back. But it also, which is amazing on the one hand that this is possible or should be possible, but on the other hand, it's crazy that we got to this point that we actually need to do this kind of things. Yeah.
How do you feel about that in terms of, because we've had a guy on who's kind of an expert in it. How do you feel about that in terms of like dinosaurs?
You had an expert on bringing back dinosaurs?
Are you familiar with Jack Horner?
No.
Okay,
Jack Horner?
He's a scientist, so he's a paleontologist. He was involved in I think he was the first guy to ever crack open a dinosaur egg to prove if there was like an embryo in there. Like, and
Oh wow.
he's part of the team that found the first soft tissue samples of Tyrannosaur, um, which is kind of a weird thing how they did that. They like broke open bones and they I don't know what they did to it, but they found like proteins or whatever. That doesn't mean anything. Like they can't do anything with it. Like, but
Can you repeat that, Jared? You broke up a lot there.
Yeah.
ooh, how
Right,
bad?
right after Tyrannosaurus.
I can't forget what I said now. But
You're such
anyway,
an idiot. No.
okay, so he wants to use like atavistic genes in chickens to. Oh, my internet's not looking too good here.
Yeah, because you cut off there as well, actually.
Yes.
Okay, I'm getting
Yeah.
something here saying internet connection unstable.
Like I'll explain. Anyway, so what he does is that he knows that chickens are descendants of dinosaurs, and so what he's trying to do is reverse the genes in chickens to make them look more like dinosaurs. And he has everything pretty much sorted out except the tail. Can't figure out how to get chickens to extend their tail, but he has their teeth, their claw, was it their legs, their stature, Jared, to
Yeah.
make it look like a dinosaur, but just the tail.
Really? Are you kidding me? No, I've never
It's
heard
called
of this guy.
the Dino Chicken Project. It's great.
Yeah. It's actually it's partly like crowdfunded as well.
Mm.
So it's interesting.
He's making a real life Jurassic Park.
The reason they use chickens is just because all birds have like one surviving relative after dinosaurs hit the hay. So it doesn't matter what bird they use, they're all gonna work. They're all gonna work the same. Like if you use an emu or use like an ostrich, it's the same. It's just more expensive. So they use chickens because you can get a chicken egg for what do you say, like $5. So yeah, it's very interesting. But regardless, like I think the way he explained it is, if that chicken ends up having or laying an egg or whatever, it'll be a normal chicken. Because with the way they're doing the atavistic genes, it's like it's gene expression, not like changing genes or anything like that. So it just turn on the gene to give it a snout instead of a beak, and see what happens. And yeah, they've never done it all at once, but they've done it like the different stages at different points. Like I know when they did the snout of the chicken, that got a lot of press at the time. That was pretty crazy. Yeah, it's weird that we can do that kind of stuff, isn't it?
It's weird that we can do that, but it brings me also back to this point of what I meant in the beginning with the extinction is we really, I think we still really have to take care or be particularly careful with what we do and the possible consequences of what we do, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they could make at least 5 movies about what could happen if you brought back dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
No, but no, you're right there. I mean, having a T-Rex roam around Rome wouldn't be handy now, would it?
Wouldn't be a good one. But I guess the last topic I wanted to touch on was conservation and COVID.
Oh yeah.
Like apparently it did a fair bit. Like there was it, Thomas, we talked about this before. It was wolves were seen in Normandy for like the first time in 100 years.
Then dolphins swimming in Italy or something, right?
Yeah, like there was genuinely crazy stuff going on.
There's many points there are many points that you have to be careful what we see or what you've read, especially the one that the very famous dolphin incident. These were dolphins that they were apparently or supposedly seen in the Venice channels. Obviously, there maybe many thousands of years ago there were dolphins there, or you could see dolphins there, but not since many centuries, not anymore. And these dolphins that were recorded were actually recorded in southern Italy and not there, and they was just claiming there was Venice. To say also, I'm very, very skeptical with saying that COVID did a fair bit in a positive sense of especially conservation. It did have some positive impacts in terms of climate, maybe small ones and not long term and not sustainable ones, but it did. Obviously, greenhouse gas emissions went down throughout the pandemic, especially during lockdowns, and also the numbers of air traffic going down and similar fields. what it didn't do, or what it's really not as easy to say, is only because we saw these goats in Wales running around, like wild goats in Wales running around, or pumas in Santiago or whatnot. This is just incidents. Obviously, wildlife goes to places where there's no humans around, which just also should make us think. um, this is why you see them. Apart from the dolphins, we were just blatantly a blatant lie. It was just not true. Um, 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 in terms of conservation, the COVID was in fact really, really problematic, and actually not good at all, I would say, in if we count it all together on a global scale, especially because in many places across the world, you have conservation projects that are only in the focus of focus of like public in a public focus, because people go there because of tourism, or because there's some NGOs involved that they do a lot of I don't know, publicity work or whatnot, but mostly because it's impossible to go there and visit them and leave your money there. And this was a big issue for many national parks. You've seen it in the rhino video as well, right? So it's a little, it's not, we just slightly address it there, but and this is a pattern that happened throughout so many places across the globe, that people, just because of the lack of tourism and the lack of income, which means also the lack of income for local people involved, local rangers and whatnot, and their families then, and this had like this kind of long tail of consequences which were not beneficial at all. Quite to the contrary, poaching numbers went up. Protection, there was not enough money for protection of wildlife. The NGOs, national parks, whatnot projects were just lacking the income, the badly needed revenues. So yeah, so COVID was a complicated time, I would say, in terms of conservation. Yes, you could say that there's places that got some time to breathe with not people not going there. Nevertheless, that's true. Or you could see some beautiful videos of I don't know, even monkeys are running around in cities in Thailand, but I would not call them nature healing itself at all. I wouldn't do that, because also it's not sustainable. And we did a whole video on that as well, like can the lockdowns change the environment or save the planet, I think we call it. um I did it. I worked on that at the quite at the beginning of the first lockdowns happening last year in 2020. Was it like around April, May, around that time? Obviously a lot of things happened between that, between now and then. But I would say, yeah, I would be really careful with saying that COVID was good for the environment. I wouldn't, and especially now with all this, which is crazy, right? It's lockdowns stopping people and societies wanting to get the engines, uh the economy's engines running again, right? And we want to have like get to the place where we were before the pandemic. And we, it seems sometimes at some places, I think it really seems that we haven't learned nothing with from this, right? And we just want to get back to the same place where we were before. And I think that the place where we were before the pandemic wasn't good.
It wasn't a good place, in fairness.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what can you do? We kind of hate to be doom and gloom like, but we kind of fucked the place up. We fucked the place up. We had a year to think about it. We do nothing.
Yeah.
So
It is. I mean, and there's stuff to learn, and stuff to learn out of times like these as well, and especially with air traffic, for example. It's like I get it more and more and more of people around me, yes, telling me, yeah, I can't wait to be able to fly again and go to, I don't know, Ibiza and whatnot. And I would think like, guys, I understand you. We've been all locked into our apartments or houses or wherever we live for quite some time now, and it was we all hated it. We all hated it, right? But I mean, but maybe we have found some good things out of it as well. Realize that we can have a great time without having to fly around the globe all the time, without needing people. I don't know. Just maybe there's a lot of things that we just could have learned about it, and it even or took the time. We could have taken the time to think about, well, how we can, if we want to change and build back. Like this stupid term from Joe Biden saying, yeah, build back better. But there's some truth to it as well, right? It's like I mean, if we build back and we want to, get going again, maybe do it in a different way. There's solutions out there, and let's do it. But let's do it in a better way. Not get back to where we were before the pandemic, which is I think it was not a good place for humanity. It's not something that we as the human race should be particularly proud of, of where we were.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, you're right.
Dude, we had some dodgy. We people very anti-lockdown today in Ireland. We got some dodgy news. Like, I don't know. Do you see that today, Thomas?
Yeah, I saw that weird that if you're not vaccinated, you're not allowed to go inside and eat food,
Yeah,
or
you
you're not allowed to go
need
inside and eat
a
drink,
vaccine
or
pass to be
to
able to
Okay.
go. Yeah.
to be able to indoor dining basically. So right now we don't
Oh,
have
is
indoor
that
dining.
is that in Ireland or across the EU?
Oh no, just in Ireland, just
When was that
Okay.
put into effect? When does this go?
July 19th.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was due for July 5th. Yeah. Look, I don't know. We're as I said earlier, bad management, but it's a rough one. Maybe who knows? Maybe it will be sustainable. Places like Ireland being locked down forever. Uh, there you go.
But is it okay? Are you guys
It,
vaccinated?
I'm
No,
vaccinated.
dude, I'm
you're.
looking forward to it so
I
bad.
am.
Like, just please hit me.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you?
Yes, I am. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Fair play.
Fortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. In terms of lockdown or anti-lockdown or what to do with the lockdowns, yeah, it's what I mean. It's lockdowns were put in place. You can think whatever you want to think about them, and whether they're worth it or work or not work. I leave that up to you or everybody else. I have my opinion to that, but what I do think is it what doesn't work is just, or shouldn't work, and it shouldn't be the solution, is in order to save the environment is to lock us all up.
Yeah.
It's just not the
I
solution.
think everyone can agree on that one. If you want to save the
Yeah.
environment, don't lock us up. Thank God. Don't put us in cages.
Yeah.
My final thing before we let you head off, because I know you're a busy guy. When it comes to conservation or, I guess eco efforts in Europe, where's doing the best at the moment?
Oh, this is a tricky question here.
Well,
I don't want to make friends or enemies now.
hard question.
It's a very hard question. It's a very hard question. Within Europe, usually what the usual answer would be, for sure, what many people would put out there immediately is the Scandinavian countries, in particular Norway, especially because they have so many changes and shifts in place in order to protect their environment, in order to protect the climate and whatnot. Yes. So this is an immediate, easy answer, I would say. But then on the other hand, as usual, it's much more complicated.
Yeah.
Especially Norway it just pays it all off with their offshore oil drilling. So they just, and they don't use their oil so much themselves. They just sell it. And because they really shift to a totally carbon neutral, they're very close to getting there, to a carbon neutral economy within their country. Yes, but on the other hand, they just afford these shifts and these changes that they're putting in place, and the wealth they have. with in theory selling oil. So they're
Mm.
just putting the trouble somewhere else and let other people burn the oil. So it gets complicated. I think we have throughout Europe our good efforts and our really flagpoles of conservation and environmental protection. We do have them, and then we have, unfortunately, to a greater scale, still our issues that we have to tackle on a large scale and in many places. And no single country in Europe can save itself from that and from trying to do its part in saving the environment. Even even in Austria, here in Austria, I mean, there's so many issues. The biggest issue is and now I'm lacking the English word for it. Bodenversiegelung is like when you get rid of natural soil and you just put tarmac on it or whatever you just build
If there's an
on
English
floor.
word for that, I don't even know it.
Okay, there's a ratio. It's a ratio, and you can say, okay, so many square meters or square kilometers or hectares in a country in a year are getting lost, right? And this number in Austria as well is far too high, and it should go the other way around. We should have more nature instead of less, right? And more forest instead of less. So yeah, it was a very long answer to a very simple question. The answer is I couldn't point out one single country I wouldn't do that.
Fair.
I'm behaving in a very diplomatic or politician way.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah.
But do you think Austria's doing enough?
If I think Austria's doing enough?
Yeah.
No.
No?
No, I'm not thinking. I think Austria's not doing enough. There's a lot of things that we can do better. There was this news from a couple of days ago from our government saying that we want to be carbon neutral by 2040, and I think it's bogus. I think it's bullshit. It's not happening. There's just too many things, too many things that we have to do and change in order to, and this is very soon, and we should. I mean, we don't have much time left, and we should do and change a lot. And even in Austria, that's not going fast enough. I think even in Austria, yes. And Austria is not so. Maybe it has a very I don't know, positive image. And yes, we have the Green Party in our government, which is true. So our like environmental minister of environment, she's from the Green Party. Yes, but then the larger fraction of our government is conservative, and our conservative government has not the protection of the environment and the climate crisis as a whole in their as a main topic in their agenda. So there's still a lot to do, and also on the lower scale in terms of us as individuals, there's still a lot of awareness that can be done. Also here in Austria, even here in Austria, maybe it's not it's not the beer bottles we see, Red Bull cans or whatever kind of cans in the forests that we should rather pick up instead of throwing them away, right? You guys drink more beer, we drink more Red Bull. I don't know. But in the end, maybe this is the best point to get to a closure here is saying, yeah, we're all the same. We maybe have slight differences, but in the end, we're all humans. We do our mistakes, so we should just do our best to change and not do those mistakes. Learn from the past, and not do the mistakes again, right? Yeah. So even in Austria, we should do more across the globe. Yeah.
There you go.
We don't have much time. Yeah.
Yeah, we all do a bit more, including Norway. So there you go.
Including Norway. Yeah. Stop selling the oil. I know it's easy money, but please just stop.
Message to Norway right there. But
Yeah.
Philip, thank you so much for getting on today. It was a good chat. We got a bit on the fiery side, the emotional side of it.
Thank you. Yeah,
if
I hope it was not too bad of a doomsday. I tried to stay positive in my vibes. I'm sorry for that if I just always drift slowly into this kind of painting it all black.
With the current state of it, it's natural.
Happens.
Okay.
So if
no,
people,
but thanks. Yeah, sorry.
I was going to say, if people want to check you out, where can they find you?
Yeah, you should go on YouTube and then put in there, you can put in Terra Mater or Terra Matters. That's our hashtag. If you put it in there, you'll find us. Have a look at our channel. Have a look at the things that we have there. And apart from there, from the YouTube channel, we have much more. But you find all the links in our about section as well. There, it's terramater.com on our website, because we do many like feature documentaries for Netflix and the big screen as well. But the easiest way to find us is go on YouTube and smash in Terra Mater or Terra Matters and find us and have a look at our stuff.
Hit the big red button, the subscribe button.
Yes, please do so.
And look, if you
leave a comment for the algorithm.
There you go. If you got this far, you may as well do both of those for this channel too. An old subscribe, an old like, and an old comment wouldn't go astray. We'd be very happy with it. But yeah, if you want to check out Philip, you know where to find him. If you got this far in the video or the audio version, fair play to you. Take candy, and bye-bye.